Thursday evening at Caracas International Airport as part of the Return to the Homeland plan. The group was welcomed by a delegation of high government officials headed by Venezuelan Minister of the Interior Diosdado Cabello. Earlier on Thursday, President Nicolás Maduro asserted that the Bolivarian Revolution was the only one which guaranteed the safe return of Venezuelan migrants to their homeland and accused the far-right opposition of manipulating public opinion about a migration that they themselves had provoked.
Ahorita me dicen que ya viene de regreso.
I am now being told that the plane is on its way back from Honduras at the direct request of the Venezuelan government to the United States government. With 177 new migrants that we have rescued from Guantanamo, the naval base that the United States has in Cuban territory. 177 boys that we rescued there under the Return to the Homeland plan.
And in this context, the Venezuelan president also affirmed that the criminal group El Tren de Aragua is now extinct in the country and urged his U.S. counterpart to investigate the truth about this criminal organization.
If anything can be said about the terrorism of the Train of Aragua, the extinct Train of Aragua, it is that they wanted to attack the cities of the country with terrorism, and we prevented it with intelligence, with action. President Trump asked for those reports so that you can see, I say this with sincerity and respect, so that you can see the truth about the infamous Train of Aragua. Our migrants are not criminals. They are not bad people. They were people who migrated as a result of the sanctions. They are good people. They are working people. And in Venezuela, we welcome them as a productive force, with a loving embrace. Welcome back to the homeland, a family reunion.
And more on the migration crisis, mass deportations from the United States are a reality in El Salvador. However, the government has not revealed any plan to deal with an eventual mass return of migrants. From San Salvador, our correspondent Roberto Hugo Presa with the details.
As every week, planes from the United States arrive at Monsignor Romero Airport full of deportees. There are officially no figures, but it is certain that deportations will increase in the coming weeks without any state plan for returnees being known.
El Salvador has 210,000 deportation orders for Salvadoran citizens who are living in the United States with or without residency. We also have a considerable number of Salvadorans who are requesting asylum and have an appointment in court, and when they get to court they are going to be told no.
This implies that the profile of deportees coming in the coming weeks is different from the traditional ones, warn migration experts.
They may be older people with chronic illnesses, people who have lived 30, 40 years in the United States, who have never settled their situation and who are already accustomed to a reality different from that of El Salvador. Therefore, the impact which they are going to have on this reintegration process is extremely complicated.
In the face of this bleak outlook, organizations working on behalf of returnees are doing their part. The Integration Center for Migrant Workers, for example, runs support programs that include psychological help, training, community organization, and seed capital for entrepreneurship.
And many families that we have supported have improved their basic basket of goods, their access to basic services. So, we see that they even have the possibility of some, so to speak, some leisure activities. So, this has improved at different levels, not only at an economic level, but also at a psychosocial level for families and communities.
Iris is one of the beneficiaries and says she would not attempt to risk her life and the lives of her children once again on the so-called death route.
Because what we went through was not easy and, as I said, I almost lost my son's life, and if we had a second chance, I don't think I would waste it like that, with ups and downs. But as I said, I have my business. I am with my children, and I know we can get ahead here.
Although no mass deportations have been officially registered so far, U.S. immigration authorities have reported dozens of arrests of Salvadorans, who will sooner or later be repatriated.
Roberto Hugo Presa, teleSUR, El Salvador.
Information in Argentina. On Thursday, the Senate approved the bill promoted by President Javier Milei that suspends the primary, open, simultaneous, and compulsory elections, also known as PASO, in the run-up to the legislative elections of next October. The project to eliminate the PASO elections was presented by Javier Milei with the argument that these primary elections, in which the vote of the citizens is obligatory, are costly and in reality are useless because most of the candidacies are already defined beforehand and there are practically no internal elections in the parties. The initiative was endorsed with 43 votes in favor, 20 against, and 6 abstentions, becoming a law, and it only needs the promulgation of President Milei to enter into force. Other sectors call this as a turn against democracy. And in Bolivia, former President Evo Morales announced his presidential candidacy for the Frente para la Victoria party. Morales will run in the general elections of August 17th for the FPV party. The agreement signed between the former president and leader of the FPV establishes Morales as the only candidate for the presidency and that he will focus on resolving justice and economic issues in the country. However, the Supreme Electoral Court announced a few days ago that the FPV party might not participate in the general elections due to alleged irregularities in the election of its board of directors. And Lula da Silva's government expanded delivery of free medicines from the Popular Pharmacy, a program that benefits 24 million people in Brazil. Our correspondents tell us more.
41 medicines for the control of blood pressure, asthma, diabetes, among other pathologies, will be available to all inhabitants of Brazil 100% free of charge. The initiative benefits approximately 1 million people per year who are still paying co-participation to acquire the products.
For example, losartana is a drug for which you will pay a little less than $1, but there are patients who take 2 tablets, which is double the price. That's $20 in the pocket of the customer who uses it for a year. Customers buy not only losartana, but also other medicines, so the monthly bill of a customer who buys from a Popular Pharmacy can be a little less than $10.
The Popular Pharmacies program was created in Lula da Silva's first term in 2004 and foresaw the opening of state-run delivery points. But this initiative was cancelled after the coup against Dilma Rousseff, when Michel Temer restricted the program only to the delivery of medicines in private pharmacies with a reduction in free medicines. The Bolsonaro government then cut 59% of the program's budget.
We had more than 24 million people benefited in 2024, and we will increase that reach even more. Mainly in the most remote areas of the country where there are more difficulties of access. And I must tell you that this program was practically destroyed in the previous government.
The program will reach all Brazilian municipalities with the opening of registration in more than 700 cities that did not already have the Popular Pharmacy program. It will also include nappies for the elderly in view of studies that revealed the demographic aging of Brazil's population.
That causes a huge cost of living, it increases impoverishment, people need more consultations, more examinations, remedies all their lives, so it is very important, as it is in our constitution, our unique health system, the SUS, seeks to treat the different in an unequal way to try to equalize them. So we understand that chronic diseases should have more support from the state.
The actions in the Popular Pharmacy program may be the last major action in the mandate of Nigia Trindade, who could leave office in the next few hours as part of a ministerial reform that seeks to leave behind the post-Bolsonaro reconstruction stage. For a second half of the mandate with transcendental projects that will leave marks of the government.
Ignacio Lemus y Julia Nassif para Telesur.
Begin with the news. The Ecuadorian judiciary has ruled that the 16 soldiers that are being investigated for the enforced disappearance and subsequent murder of 4 children in Guayaquil will remain in jail while the investigation continues. The Provincial Court of Guayaquil argued that the preventive detention was necessary to guarantee the impartial development of the investigation. In the sense, the decision was made after a 2-day appeal hearing in which the uniformed officers claimed that the minors had been left alive. It should be remembered that on the night of December 8, 2024, 4 young people were abducted during a police operation, and on the 24th of the same month, their bodies were found burnt near the airbase to which the soldiers involved in the case belonged. All this in the midst of the state of emergency that was declared by the government of Daniel Noboa on the pretext of tackling the security crisis in the country. Also in Argentina, members of the National Civil Aviation Workers Association continue to meet in the face of possible layoffs in the sector. The union confirmed the authorities' intention to transfer functions to other agencies, including the expulsion of several workers. It also pointed out that the redundancies in the state agency posed a significant risk. It warned that the loss of qualified workers could have consequences for the sector. The summit of Arab countries to work out a coordinated response to the White House plans for Gaza has begun in Riyadh, the capital of Saudi Arabia. The member countries of the Gulf Cooperation Council, plus Egypt and Jordan, have agreed to reject the U.S. president's plans. With this agenda, the representatives of the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Kuwait, Oman, and Bahrain, and the host country Saudi Arabia, together with the 2 countries that are not part of the coalition, are holding this meeting, which they have defined as a fraternal meeting. For experts, it is one of the most important meetings in recent times and represents an unprecedented historical turning point. In other news, the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov met on Thursday with his Chinese counterpart Wang Yi to debate on concerning global issues. On the sidelines of the current G20 meeting held this Friday, both diplomats stressed the importance on political dialogue to settle disputes. Furthermore, they tackled topics of common interest, such as their relations with the U.S. and possible solutions to conflict, namely the one in Ukraine. Both foreign ministers agreed on taking the lead as stabilizing factors against the ongoing turmoil in the global system. We go now to Germany, as the Union Party, the center-right force leading the German election polls, has lost 2 percentage points in the last few hours. By contrast, the far-right Alternative for Germany has risen slightly to 21% of the vote. Germany is on the edge less than 72 hours before the early elections. There is already talk of pacts. The aim is to strengthen the cordon sanitaire in order to prevent the advance of the far right, which is only 7 points behind the center right, which currently has about 28% of support. The Social Democrats, currently in government, have been hit hard by the performance of Chancellor Olaf Scholz and remain at a modest 16%. But socialists of the left could cross the 5% threshold, while more than a quarter of the voters, that is to say 27% of them, remain undecided.